Hi, I'm Daniel, 29, and I thought I'd done the most thoughtful thing a son could do. After years of watching my parents grind through double shifts, missing holidays, and sleeping in separate chairs because the couch had a dent older than me, I wanted to give them freedom. Not just financial freedom, real, engine humming, highway beneath your feet freedom. So, when they finally retired last spring, I surprised them with a $90,000 luxury RV. I'd spent months researching it. 2 bedrooms, a kitchenette that actually worked, full AC, satellite TV, solar panels, even a mini washer-dryer combo so Mom wouldn't have to drag laundry bags into random campgrounds. Dad used to say his dream was to see the country before it changes too much. I figured this was the key to that dream. They could drive from Yellowstone to Yosemite, park by lakes, watch sunsets from the fold-out chairs, and finally rest. I wrapped the key in a red ribbon and drove it up their driveway. Mom cried before I even said a word. Dad just stood there, hand on his mouth, eyes glassy. "You bought this?" he asked, like the thing might vanish if he blinked. I laughed. "Yeah. It's yours. Go wherever you want, no schedule, no bills, just go." He walked around it slowly, touching the side panel like it was a miracle. Mom hugged me so tight I could feel her heartbeat through my jacket. For the first time in years, they looked young. I stayed the weekend, helped them pack the basics, showed Dad how to operate the slide-outs, helped Mom figure out the Wi-Fi. They promised they'd send postcards from their first trip. "We're starting small," she said. "Maybe the Grand Canyon, then work our way up." I left that Sunday glowing. I'd done something right. I'd done something good. 2 weeks later, I was scrolling through Facebook when I saw it. A post from my sister Jenna. A selfie, sunglasses on, peace sign captioned, "Road trip with the fam. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for the new ride. Couldn't wait to take her out." Behind her was the RV. My RV. The one with the custom plate that read Freedom 1. I thought my eyes were playing tricks. Maybe they borrowed it? But then came the kicker in the comments. Mom wrote, "You deserve it, sweetheart. Enjoy it." That was the moment I stopped breathing for a second. Deserve it? Enjoy what? The gift wasn't meant for Jenna. She's 26, impulsive, lives rent-free with her boyfriend, and has a history of borrowing money without paying it back. My parents had the literal vehicle for their dream retirement, and somehow, it was now hers. I called Mom immediately. She didn't pick up. Then I called Dad. Straight to voicemail. I sent a text. "Hey, what's going on with the RV?" Nothing. Not a single word back. My stomach twisted. Something was very, very wrong. So I drove down there. 3 hours straight, no music, just the hum of fury under my skin. When I pulled into their driveway, the RV was gone. Only tire tracks in the dirt. Mom came out to greet me, hands wringing her apron, and the look on her face told me everything before she said a word. "Danny," she started, voice soft. "Don't be mad. Your sister needed it more." I blinked. Needed it more? Mom, it wasn't a loaf of bread, it's a $90,000 vehicle. Dad appeared behind her, looking like someone had taken the air out of him. "She's going through a tough time," he muttered. "They lost their apartment. We thought." "You thought what?" I cut in. "That handing her the one thing that was supposed to be your retirement plan was the solution." Mom's eyes filled again, but not from gratitude this time, from guilt. "She promised to take care of it. Just until she's back on her feet." The words hit like nails. Just until. The 2 most dangerous words in our family. I stared at them both and realized this wasn't a misunderstanding. They hadn't been tricked. They'd given it away. And somewhere out there, Jenna was probably cruising down a freeway in a vehicle she didn't pay a cent for, smiling into the wind, calling it hers. I stood there on that driveway, the gift I'd spent years saving for already gone, and thought, maybe the real mistake wasn't giving them the RV. Maybe it was believing I could buy them peace. Then I got back in my car, turned the ignition, and decided I wasn't letting this go quietly. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my apartment, lights off, the city buzzing outside, and just stared at my phone. I had 10 different drafts of texts to Jenna. All of them started with, "What the hell?" and got progressively worse. But I didn't send any. Not yet. Because I knew Jenna. She'd spin it. She'd flip it. She'd twist it into some sob story about how she was saving our parents from stress, how she was just borrowing it, how she was making memories for the family. So instead, I called my buddy Mark, who works in insurance. RVs fall under auto, and I'd taken the policy out myself, in my name, just in case my parents needed help navigating it. He picked up, yawning. Dan? It's midnight, man. Yeah, I said. And my sister just stole a $90,000 RV I gifted to my parents. That woke him up. I asked if he could track any recent claims or GPS activity from the built-in locator. He pulled it up while I waited, pacing. Okay, he said after a pause. It pinged 90 miles west, parked at some campground. And oh boy, there's a note here. Minor accident reported. Front bumper scrape and a cracked headlight. My hands clenched. Not only had she taken the RV, she'd already damaged it. The next morning, I drove out to that campground. It was tucked into a wooded area near the mountains, one of those picturesque sites with fire pits and families roasting marshmallows. And there it was. Freedom 1. My RV, sitting crooked in the lot like it had been parked by a drunk giraffe. A camping chair was knocked over beside it. The front bumper had a duct-taped gash across the corner, like someone's DIY fix on a luxury vehicle. Jenna was lounging outside in yoga pants and a hoodie, sipping from a travel mug like she was on a spa weekend. Her boyfriend, Trent, of course his name was Trent, was shirtless and fiddling with the propane hookup like he knew what he was doing. A toddler I didn't recognize ran circles around a half-unpacked cooler. I stepped out of my car and walked straight up to the RV. Jenna's jaw dropped when she saw me. Danny? What are you doing here? She said, like I'd just crashed her vacation. What am I doing here? I said, pointing. That is my question. What the hell is this, Jenna? She stood up, hands already in that performative defense posture. Okay, don't freak out. I asked Mom and Dad. They said it was okay. You asked them? I snapped. You mean you guilt-tripped them? Like you always do. This wasn't a loan. This was their retirement plan. They weren't even using it. She argued. They're homebodies, Danny. They were gonna let it sit in the driveway collecting dust. Trent and I are putting it to good use. You always say you want us to be more independent. Well, we're living in it. You should be proud. Proud? I looked at the cracked headlight, the discarded beer cans, the stroller propped against the grill. You turned a luxury RV into a frat house on wheels. And don't even get me started on the insurance. That damage? That goes on my name. Trent finally looked up. Hey bro, calm down. It's just a scratch. I turned to him, teeth grinding. It's a scratch on a gift that wasn't yours to take. Do you even have a license to drive this thing? He grinned like a golden retriever. Well, I'm learning. It's basically just a big van, right? I had to breathe. I had to literally walk in a circle to keep from exploding. Jenna, seeing me hit my limit, tried the classic pivot. Look, Danny, I get it. You're mad. But you've always had more than us. You have your apartment, your job, your freedom. We're just trying to survive. Don't make this about stuff. Stuff? I echoed. You mean the RV I spent 4 years saving for? That stuff? She crossed her arms. You're being dramatic. And that was the moment I knew there was no reasoning with her. Because in Jenna's world, consequences were optional, and guilt was currency. I turned back to my car, heart pounding. I'm not done, I said over my shoulder. You want to play games with my gift? Fine. But you better believe I'm playing back. And I keep receipts. As I pulled out of the lot, I could still hear Trent yell, Dude needs to chill. I smiled to myself, for the first time that day. Because they had no idea what was coming next. I called my lawyer the second I got home. Yeah, I have a lawyer. Because unlike Jenna, I believe in planning for things like being royally screwed over by your own family. Can you legally repossess a gift? I asked, pacing in my hallway like a man whose blood pressure could blow a pipe. There was a long pause. Well, she said, technically you gifted it to your parents. But if they didn't legally transfer ownership to your sister, and she took it without a written agreement or title change, that's unauthorized use. If it's still registered in your name, you might actually have a case. My brain lit up like Christmas. I want to file a formal cease and desist, I said. And I want the RV back. She walked me through the process. I'd have to send a certified letter. If Jenna didn't comply, I could involve the police not for theft, but for unauthorized possession of a motor vehicle. There were hoops, but nothing I couldn't jump through if I was willing to piss off my entire family tree. Which I was. Step 1. I pulled up the insurance file and printed every page. Registration? Still under my name. Financing? Paid in full. Maintenance? Documented. Photos of its pristine condition? All timestamped. Step 2. I wrote the cease and desist myself, just for the poetic satisfaction of it. It was clinical, cold, and bulletproof. To Jenna L. Gray. Unauthorized use of vehicle. You are hereby instructed to immediately cease and desist all use of the recreational vehicle registered under my name. Failure to comply within 72 hours will result in the involvement of legal counsel and authorities. Any damages incurred during unauthorized possession will be pursued in small claims court. Best regards, Daniel Gray. Your brother, unfortunately. I mailed it certified, with delivery confirmation. Then I emailed it. Then I texted her a photo of the envelope with the words, "This is not a joke." She didn't respond. But Mom did. She called that evening, her voice already shaking. "Danny, honey, I just want to say we didn't think it would go this far. She said it would just be a few weeks." "She always says that, Mom," I said. "She said that when she borrowed my college laptop and sold it. She said that when she took Dad's car and racked up parking tickets he had to pay off. Why is it different now? She's struggling," Mom said, like it was a magic word that made all sins disappear. "We're all struggling," I snapped. "But I didn't use that as an excuse to steal someone's future." That silenced her. Then, quietly, "We didn't know how to say no." And that hit me like a brick to the chest. Because it wasn't just about the RV. It was about a lifetime of them letting Jenna call the shots. Of avoiding conflict until the price fell on me. "You didn't have to say no," I said gently. "You just had to say, this was a gift, and it's not for you." Silence again. Then, "What are you going to do?" "I'm giving her 72 hours, I said. "After that I tow it. I don't care if she's sleeping in it when I do." 2 days passed with no response. On the third morning, I drove back out to the campground. This time, I brought company. His name was Miguel. He worked repos for an RV dealership and knew every loophole in the book. I showed him the paperwork. He nodded once. "Yeah, we can move it." We rolled up around noon. Jenna wasn't there. But Trent was shirtless again, for some reason frying bacon on a camping stove. I approached with Miguel behind me, clipboard in hand. Trent looked up, grease on his cheek. What's going on?" I held out the paperwork. "Repossession notice. The vehicle's coming with us." "You're bluffing," he said. "Nope," Miguel said, already stepping around to the hitch. "Back tires are good. Bumper's a mess, but we can fix that. Might need a jump, though." Trent scrambled to block him. "You can't just take it. My kid is napping in there." Miguel shrugged. "Might want to wake him up." I turned to Trent. "You have 10 minutes. Gather your things. Don't make this worse." He did what he always did, called Jenna. I heard her scream through the phone before she even said hello. "You're a psycho, Danny. You're towing a home with a child inside." "No, I'm towing my RV," I said calmly. "You have 5 minutes." She showed up 20 minutes later, hair wet, flip-flops smacking the gravel. She marched right up to me, murder in her eyes. "You want to destroy this family? Fine. But don't come crawling back when Mom and Dad cut you off." "They don't fund my life, Jenna," I said. "They don't have to. You're so full of yourself." She spat. "This is about control. You always want to be the hero. You're not." I didn't argue. I just watched Miguel finish attaching the hitch and step back. "Ready when you are," he said. I got in the truck. Jenna stood in the road, arms crossed, eyes wild. Trent cradled the kid like a prop. And me? I drove off. Not just with the RV, but with every ounce of self-respect they tried to siphon out of me since I was old enough to earn my own money. I took it back. And I didn't look in the rearview mirror. It turns out, when you repossess a luxury RV from your sister at a campground with her shirtless boyfriend screaming, "This isn't over!" and a toddler crying over a dropped granola bar, you don't just drive away. You start a war. By the time I got the RV to a secured lot, thanks to Miguel, who had a cousin with a padlocked storage yard, I already had 17 missed calls from Mom, 5 from Dad, and a string of text messages from Jenna that started with, "Unbelievable," and escalated quickly to, "You are dead to me." And then came the kicker group text. Family-wide. Including aunts, uncles, and cousins I hadn't spoken to since 2009. The subject line? "Daniel just made our parents homeless." Homeless. I stared at my phone, stunned. In this version of events, Jenna was suddenly the victim. My parents were somehow kicked out of a vehicle they never wanted her to have in the first place, and I was the greedy villain who snatched it away and left a young family destitute on the side of the road. My Aunt Colleen replied first. Daniel, this doesn't sound like you. Is this true? My cousin Ryan followed up. Kinda messed up, bro. They've got kids. I didn't reply. Not yet. Instead, I called my parents. Mom picked up, sniffling. Why did you have to embarrass her like that? Embarrass her? I echoed. Mom, she stole it. You keep using these soft words like borrow and need, but you're forgetting the most important one, mine. It was a gift to you. Not her. Not Trent. You. If you didn't want it, you could have told me. Dad spoke up then, voice heavy. We didn't think it'd blow up like this. We didn't want to say no. There it was again. The same phrase like a family curse. I tried another angle. Dad, if I gave you my car, and Jenna showed up, took the keys, and drove off without asking, would that be okay? She said it was temporary. He muttered. Do you believe that? I asked. Silence. I softened my voice. This isn't about the RV anymore. It's about how you let her walk all over you. And now you're asking me to pretend it's fine so she won't throw another tantrum. Another pause. Then, quietly, Dad said, She's been doing that since she was 4. I sighed. And I've been cleaning it up since I was 10. They didn't say much after that. But I knew the needle had moved, even if just a little. Later that night, I decided to do something I'd never done before. I replied to that group text. With receipts. Me. Hi everyone. Since Jenna's narrative seems to be gaining traction, here are the facts. The RV was purchased by me and gifted to my parents. It is legally registered in my name. Jenna took possession without permission and damaged the vehicle. I issued a formal cease and desist before reclaiming it. My parents were not living in it. Jenna and Trent were. No one is homeless. No one was evicted. I am happy to forward the police report if anyone would like confirmation. And then, because I was on a roll, I added a photo. The front of the RV before and after Jenna got her hands on it. The second one, complete with a cracked headlight, duct tape, and, I kid you not, a sticker on the bumper that said, Then Life Vibes. No one replied for a full hour. Then Aunt Colleen again. Yikes. And Cousin Ryan. Okay, yeah? That's not cool. Jenna left the group. That night, Mom called again. She didn't apologize, not directly, but she said, Your father and I are thinking maybe we're not RV people after all. I could hear the shame in her voice, the regret swimming in it. I wanted to rage, to tell her how long I'd saved, how much I'd poured into this gesture, how it was supposed to be their freedom, not a handout to Jenna's circus life. But instead I said, Okay. Because I wasn't going to argue anymore. I was going to act. The next morning, I listed the RV for sale. Not on some sketchy site, but through a reputable dealership. Within 48 hours, it was pending sale. $87,500. A small loss, sure, but miles better than watching it fall apart under Trent's grilling experiments. And then I did something I didn't expect. I took $50,000 of that and opened an account in my parents' names. Strictly joint access. No Jenna. No transfers. A simple note attached. For your real retirement. If you ever want to travel, it'll be waiting. And the rest? I kept it. Because after a lifetime of being the fallback guy, the problem solver, the ATM with a smile, I finally realized I didn't have to light myself on fire to keep other people warm. Let Jenna figure it out on her own. This time, I wasn't paying for the lesson. Jenna didn't take the RV sale well. The morning it posted, I got a text. You had no right. That was family property. I stared at it for a second. Then laughed out loud in my car. Family property? Like she'd discovered a lost heirloom, not hijacked a $90,000 vehicle I had personally paid for. I didn't reply. But I did block her. Next came the backlash tour. Jenna's Instagram lit up with melodrama. A black screen with white text. Money changes people. A photo of her kid in front of a broken tricycle. Just trying to give my children joy. Some people don't understand. Then the kicker, a GoFundMe. Title: Help us rebuild after RV eviction. Goal: $15,000. Description: We were displaced from our full-time home by a family member. Anything helps. I nearly choked on my coffee. Trent even recorded a video. Shirt on, miraculously. We've been through so much, he said solemnly, like he was a war vet, not a guy who parked crooked and broke a headlight. We were starting our journey and it was ripped away. I couldn't believe it. Well, I could. My parents stayed mostly silent. Mom sent one message. We're sorry it turned into all this. And Dad, proud of you, son, for standing firm. That one meant everything. The RV sold that Friday. Wire hit my account by noon. I stood in line at the bank with that cashier's check for $50,000 in my hand, and I felt something weird. Not relief. Not victory. Peace. Like the last 10 years of carrying this family's drama were finally dropping off my shoulders. I deposited the check into the joint retirement account I'd set up for my parents. Added a note they'd see first thing. This is for you. No one else. Spend it, don't save it. You've earned joy. Then I booked them a weekend getaway. Coastal bed and breakfast, ocean views, quiet mornings, no wheels involved. 2 nights, no agenda. I called to tell them and Mom cried again. But this time, it wasn't guilt. This feels like breathing again, she said. I didn't know I was holding my breath. Jenna, meanwhile, had pivoted her GoFundMe. The new title: Victims of Greed. The goal had increased to $20,000. I heard from my cousin Ella that she was telling people I'd sabotaged her dream. That I was heartless. That I let her children go homeless. Which was wild considering she was posting poolside selfies at her boyfriend's mom's house. I didn't respond. Didn't engage. Instead, I mailed my parents a framed photo of the RV from the day I handed it over. Mom called it bittersweet. But Dad just said, it's not the RV I'll remember. It's the moment I realized we didn't have to live in fear of her meltdowns anymore. A week after the RV sold, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting. Jenna. Inside was a single page, handwritten in blue pen. No greeting. No apology. Just, you may think you won, but all you did was make sure your own family never trusts you again. You're not generous. You're performative. You make gifts so you can feel powerful. You could have called. You could have worked it out. But you just wanted to humiliate me. I hope someday you realize what you've done. No signature. I read it twice, then folded it back up and slid it into a drawer labeled Emotional Landmines. Because here's the thing, Jenna never understood: a gift doesn't come with strings, but it does come with limits. And the limit is don't weaponize my kindness. My parents returned from their weekend trip glowing. Mom brought back saltwater taffy in a little paper bag. Dad bought a goofy magnet shaped like a fish that said, "Gone coasting." They put it on the fridge like it was a badge. And then came the unexpected. Dad pulled me aside and said, "Your mom and I have been talking. We want to use the money you gave us. Not just to travel, but to build something. Something small. Just for us. A little cabin upstate. 1 floor. No stairs. All ours." I blinked. "Like, your own place?" "Yeah," he said, smiling. "No wheels. Just roots." And that's when it hit me. The RV was never the real gift. The real gift was permission to live for themselves. 2 months later, I drove up a narrow dirt road surrounded by trees just beginning to turn gold. At the top of the hill sat a tiny, perfect cabin with smoke curling from the chimney and my dad waving in a sweater I hadn't seen since high school. I parked and stepped out into air so quiet it made me pause. No traffic. No tension. No Jenna. Inside, Mom had soup on the stove and music playing from an old radio that still picked up static in the right corners. The cabin was modest: 2 bedrooms, 1 big window facing the valley, a kitchen with mismatched mugs, but it was theirs. Fully paid for. Built on a small plot Dad had inherited decades ago and never touched until now. They gave me the tour like proud newlyweds. "Here's the pantry I finally get to organize," Mom beamed. "And over here's where your father pretends he can read without glasses." I laughed, really laughed. Not politely. Not tight-jawed. And when we sat down to dinner, Dad raised his glass of apple cider and said, "To boundaries that look like blessings." That night, after they went to bed, I sat out on the small porch, wrapped in a flannel blanket, and just breathed. I thought about everything it took to get here. The fights. The guilt. The backlash. The silence. Jenna never apologized. Not directly. She sent one text a few weeks back. Hope you're happy. I didn't respond. Because I was. Not the fireworks and victory kind. The slow, steady kind that comes when you stop bleeding for people who sharpen the knife. The thing is, I didn't just reclaim an RV. I reclaimed the story. For years, I thought love meant sacrificing for your family, no matter the cost. But now I see love isn't about setting yourself on fire so others stay warm. It's about offering warmth freely and walking away when someone demands your matches, your house, your lungs. That RV was never the endgame. It was just the spark. The real gift was helping my parents see they didn't have to be held hostage by guilt. And helping myself realize that sometimes, the most generous thing you can do is draw a line. A month later, my niece Jenna's daughter sent me a message. Just one sentence. Grandma says your porch has the best stars. I replied, tell her there's a chair waiting for her whenever she wants. And I meant it. Because boundaries aren't walls. They're doors that stay locked for some, and open for those who come with respect, not entitlement.